There you go.
Got it?
Yeah.
All right. Now we can have a seat here. Okay, the purpose of this, like I said, this is kind of like a refresher training for the new cooks here. They've been in the kitchen for a while, and for the KPs who've been in the kitchen for only this 5 days right now, but you should have it for 7 days, okay? Basically, it's a safety training. A safety training concerns your personal health issues, everything like that for the cooks and KPs, how you present yourself, everything like that. What it entails right now is, like I said, refresher course for safety. In other words, I need the cooks and the KP students to understand why we clean, 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 and clean, okay? To start off with, our objective in this thing is, like I said, what are we trying to accomplish? What are we trying to accomplish is a safe food environment for everyone. We're trying to keep from getting students to get this foodborne illness and all that stuff, okay? Because when I get an outbreak of foodborne illness, it has to do something in the kitchen. And mostly, it has to do with our health issues. How we clean, wash our hands, wearing rings, touching food, touching our hair, then putting our hands on the food, having gloves. We have latex gloves, right?
Right.
Okay, now, sometimes when I walk around in the kitchen, you watch me observe things, right?
Right.
So when I'm walking around the kitchen and I see a young lady here on the serving line, serving, leaning there, going like this, coming up and serving another student. Nobody notices it. I notice it. I see a student with gloves on, things like that. See, a foodborne illness is transmitted from a person to the food, okay? And I had some examples for you right here that 1 year before you was even thought of being born, they had an outbreak of a food poisoning in Washington State, and it had to do with Jack in the Box.
Oh yeah.
If you guys remember that, you know, it affected the elderly and well, who else? Small infants.
Yeah.
Because why?
More illness.
That and also
Making them get sick faster.
yes, because why?
Their immune system's out.
Their immune system. Some are not fully developed yet, and the others are on the decline because of the age. In other words, it takes the elderly a little more time to heal because of the immune system, and it takes the infants a little bit more time to get their shots and build up an immune system. So when we go out there and stuff like that, it makes us aware. I want you to make you more aware of what can go on. I'll put it that way. Okay, what else can be caused by this? A lot of things are how we receive. Okay, first thing we do, safety in the kitchen and any restaurant. What's the first thing? What do you think the first thing is to prevent this from happening?
Wash your hands.
Oh yeah, washing your hands.
And, well, another one. Come on, come on, come on, come on. There's many things. There's many things. There's really no wrong answers. I mean, if you guys say, okay,
Keep yourself clean, don't be lazy. Don't wear the same clothes, change out.
that's one part, yes. But the first thing that we need, what's that?
Hairnet?
That's also a good one. Everything you're saying is what we
Cut your
do.
nails,
But,
shave.
good. The first thing, I know the KPs won't know this. Some of the cooks, you're just barely starting, is who I buy my food from. That's the beginning. It starts from the beginning, from who I get my food from, what vendors I get it from. As soon as I get that in, and have you heard about this green slime thing lately with the hamburger things that's been on the news?
Yeah.
Okay, see, that is affecting hamburgers, but that's coming out of Canada, which people have debates on. Okay, so when I do that, I, the manager as kitchen, have to find out, say, okay, where do you get your meat from? How is it being done? And I go through the whole thing, so I order that. So that's your first step, who you order it from. The second step is receiving it. When you receive food, you need to check every box. It's like if I got fresh fish in, what should fresh fish be packed in?
Ice.
Ice. Okay, good. So when you get a case of fresh fish coming in from Seattle, the coast somewhere, comes in a pre-packed box. It's got to be dated when it was shipped out, how long it took us to get, how long it took it from there to get here, Federal Express, the time limit and things like that. So if you open that box and you have to inspect it. You inspect fish, it should have a nice bright color. Touch the thing, touch it, and it springs back up. If you touch it and leaves an indentation for a while, and the eyes are cloudy and kind of bulging a little, the skin kind of looks like a little rubbery type thing, you send it back. Because more than likely you're spending dollars, $60, $70. We had a person here that ordered trout one time. I said, well, how much did it cost? Well, for 2 trouts, it was almost $30. I said, whoa! It is. So I got to make sure of all that stuff. So I got to go from
You should just go catch her.
receiving, okay, purchasing, receiving, then I got to have what? Proper storage. How I store it. If I'm going to store a raw meat on top shelf, is that legal?
No.
No, I can't. Why?
Drains down.
Because whatever's going to drip down from that raw meat onto your dry foods, you're going to have to toss all this out.
Cross-contamination.
Cross-contamination. What else is cross-contamination?
Touching one thing and going to another.
Right, without cleaning your hands. How about the cutting boards?
Yep. If you don't clean them.
Okay. Proper sanitizing,
Yep.
proper washing, proper storage. Do I ever wipe down dishes with a towel or anything? Or how do I do that? How do we do that? How do you do that? Air dry. That's like I said, when the dish machine, when them dishes come out of the dish machine, you're supposed to let them set on the back shelf at least 2 minutes, because that temperature gets up to 160 degrees on the end or more. So it'll dry in about 1.5 minutes. You don't have to wipe it. You don't have all these dishes out there dripping wet and all kinds of stuff, you know. Okay, KPs, you know that we, whoever's on the retrieving part, the in part, we're supposed to take the dishes off, put them again, but we also inspect them, right? You're supposed to check them because some of the bowls on the inside have that little bit of food in there, particles, things like that. It's the same thing with pots and pans. Pots and pans should be scraped, okay, before you even attempt to put them in there and wash them. You got to scrape it. Your dishwashing, my 3-sink method. These are the things that I noticed in the kitchen in the last week, week and a half, 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. It seems like we're just slipping and slipping into this kind of like, oh, I want to get out of here mode. Nothing will happen, but things do happen. It's like if I find a pots and pans, and who can I use an example? I use one of my prior students. Nobody here. Okay, I went over there, and this young man washing dishes. I'm using examples here. And that's how we're going to learn, by examples. I went and asked him, I says, what'd you put that food in? I said, you're panning up this casserole and you put it in a nice clean pan. He goes, yes. I said, no, you didn't. Did you see the food around that was around that? I mean, you're putting nice fresh food into a pan that's dirty with a little crust of food on the side. How long has that pan been running? And you're trying to feed this to the student? So you know what I did? I had him throw that whole pan of food away. I have to. I'd rather throw the food away than get someone sick. If any of you have ever had a foodborne illness, you will know. You will really know. I mean, you think a stomach ache hurts? You think, I'll put it this way. I've had a student that had a foodborne illness, and he was saying, no, she was saying, it was worse than being pregnant. Jeez. Her stomach hurt that much. And it was continuous. And a foodborne illness in an establishment will cause that establishment time, money, because of all the lawyer fees and things like that. It has a lot of effect on the economy of that restaurant. The economy of the restaurant, its reputation. In other words, if someone got sick in there, and all of a sudden, it goes from this person to that person, I'm not eating there no more because they don't clean, they don't do this stuff, things like that. Their dishes are dirty, their dishes and stuff like this are dirty. Everything like that happens. Like I said, this is just refresher course and stuff like that. And I like to, when I was doing this training before, I gave out handouts like this, okay? And I would hand it to each person and say, okay, find me at least 10 things that are wrong in this picture. And then we can discuss why. Why do you think something is wrong? Why do you think it would be a problem? So we'll take a couple of minutes in there, 2 minutes at the most, maybe 3 minutes, and then we can go through the whole thing. And then I will tell you how many items in there are wrong. And then we'll discuss that. About a few more seconds here.
Good.
While you're doing that and everything like that, you got to also think that all this safety is not just pertains to in here. It doesn't pertain to restaurants. If you go home, is there some things in that pictures that you would see wrong in your house? Is there something in there that if you went eating out, you would see in a restaurant? Or a fast food place? Yes. Yes. And I just make people think about things like this. I mean, it's a really, I would say, a scary thing sometimes if you knew what was going on out there. Really, it's very, and just this is just going to make you aware of what's going on, okay?
Can I present them?
All right, let's go ahead and get started here before, okay. First one, let's start out. What did you find wrong there?
Should we do like 3 things or?
You can do 2 things, let's make it short too, let's see.
Alright, so first off, knives standing up in the dishwasher,
Okay,
cut yourself. And then her shoes untied.
okay. Why shoes untied?
Because you can trip,
You can trip,
fall into
Fall.
the knives or into the sink or whatever. Into the
and if
oven.
you do trip on something like that, with all that equipment around, you can injure yourself even worse. That's why we stress a lot of tying your shoes on center, tying your shoes in here, non-slip shoes, all this are safety things. And all these things can cost you time, money, work, workman's compensation, medical, hit your face on something on the way down, dental bills, all kinds of stuff. But a lot of people don't think like that. They say, oh, I just got hurt. Another one? Is that it? Or you have another one?
Oh, yeah.
What was that? How was that?
The kid in the kitchen with everything open
Mhm.
and running, and the bleach being open.
Next.
The towel in the oven,
And why is that? Why would that be it?
it's a fire hazard.
Okay.
And then the plates pressed up against her. And then just 2.
Yeah, that 2 is good, like I said. Keep this nice and simple. Next.
There's like a cord wrapped around her.
Oh,
Some
yes.
water and stuff.
Mhm.
You can get like electrocuted and stuff.
Right. Plus the possibility of a fall and all that things.
And
Oh.
the sink is overflowing onto the floor. I
Right.
don't know if somebody said that.
Also on the cord's broken right there.
Uh-huh, and they tried to repair it. Jimmy rigged it. Okay, next.
The knives in the washer, you're pointing up.
Right.
At yourself like that. Actually pointing down. And the dog can get in the way, knock things down, and the drawers are open.
Okay. And what's stored in there? I'll put it that way.
Paint, food, bleach, all these
Chemicals.
things. Chemicals, yeah. Dogs. Kid can
With
get.
the possibility of somebody getting sick. What about the young infants that's sitting right next there?
Yeah, he'll eat some random stuff for sure. He's already licking his fingers and his.
Yeah, and how do we know if that bleach hasn't been spilled out or anything like that?
I know, huh?
Things like that. There's another thing we don't think about. Okay, next.
Fire extinguisher.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
That was that big one. That's about to fall.
Right. Anything stored in a high top object and your shelving wiggles and wiggles and wiggles and you got this big old container of whatever's in that pot falls down and stuff like that. You've got everybody around there. A dog, cat, whatever. Children. Everything. Anything. How about you?
The water on the floor,
Yes.
and then I think it said the cups up in the windowsill.
Okay. And the window's open. What comes in? There's no screen.
Bugs.
Bugs.
Yeah.
Example. I like giving examples because I've been so much into this. I've been doing this for 29 years. 29 years, and I thought I saw everything. Okinawa, military, Marine Corps, chow hall, mess hall, what do you want to call it? They never had wooden tables. They had the cutting board, classic type, over there on a shelf and cut down. 1 week, we clean it once a week, just like we do here. Picked up the cutting board from the table, if it's about long. Right on the edges where it hangs on, maggots.
Oh my goodness.
All the way across. Maggots.
Oh my goodness.
Because they left the doors open, and we had flies in there, and everything like that. They got so hot that they left the doors and propped it open. And this is true, okay, really. I mean, like I said, I like using examples because, like I said, I've probably seen a lot of things that some of you will never see before. Okay.
A rollerblade on the floor.
No, I was wondering if somebody was going to see that one. Because of slips, falls, trips, and all three things, right?
Yeah.
Okay, what else?
And a plug in the sink.
Yep. You got a plug in the sink, the water's overflowing. Okay, good, 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 good. What else? There's a lot of things in here that a lot of us need to be aware of. Like the lady. What are we wearing right now? Aprons. Why? Because it protects us from heat. It protects us from hot water, hot spills, and stuff like that. Her sleeves are hanging down so far like this that it could get caught. If she reached over a mixing, what would happen? It'll get caught in there, and if she had a knife in her hand, whew, okay, things like that. Another example, here I go again. This was in San Diego, one of the mess halls down there. Had a young lady cook that was mixing something in a humongous mixing bowl. Safety first, right? What are we supposed to do before we even attempt to put our hands in there?
Shut off the machine.
Shut the machine off. The best way to do that, shut it off, make sure nobody's messing with it, and unplug it. What takes so long to replug it in? 2 seconds. She didn't do that. Long sleeve chef coat was dangling. Mixer bowl was going. She tried to scrape the sides down. Caught her arm in that mixing bowl. Broke her arm in 2 places. They had to get a maintenance guy up there just to get that thing turned back around. This mixing bowl is like this though, not like that. That's another story. I mean, there's a lot that I have experienced, okay? A really lot. Anyway, safety. Safety in the kitchen. Safety in pots and pans handling, scraping, washing, everything. It concerns I've had students in here come and say, your KPs aren't doing work. I said, why? Because I found a hair on my plate. Why aren't they wearing hairnets? That's another thing. And it's true. But then again, I says, well, you know, you're about the only one in 3 days that has found hair on the plate. So, you sure you don't go up there and get a drink and somebody that hates you, dislikes you, wants to play a trick on you is putting a piece of hair on your plate? Because I said, you know, 3 days in a row is kind of something to me. But then I still have to address the issue, and I go in there and say, hey guys, make sure you wash these, make sure you wash things, okay? Things like that. Same thing with the pots and pans. Same thing on the serving line. Same thing when we're making salads, we wear gloves. Another incident. Oh my gosh, I got lots of them. Incident. Making salad one day, have the students over there. He had a cut on his finger, okay? So he puts a Band-Aid on, puts a glove on, puts a glove on. Everything right, mixing it up, mixing it up. I go down, do something else. This happened like maybe 5 years ago. Come back, get everything set up, we're ready down there, we're eating, start serving students in the cafeteria. One of my staff comes up to me, bowl of salad. I says, Leroy, guess what? He picks up his fork, gets his salad. Band-Aid. Oh my gosh. I said, Band-Aid, huh? He goes, yes. I had to throw all that salad on that salad bar out. And you know how much salad we go through? About a case of salad. A case of salad will feed 200 people. I had to throw all that salad out because one Band-Aid. And I had to make sure that whatever students did get salad was okay. I've had a mess hall. 2,000 recruits, military recruits, training to serve our country, have their chow halls closed down. 200 of them, foodborne illness. They closed that place down, the federal government closed that down, sent 1,000 to my chow hall, another 1,000 to another chow hall, so we were feeding 3,000 people.
Jeez.
All because of one milk and dairy product they use. Improper. Time and temperature, they left it out too long. They didn't have it at the right temperature, 40 and below, things like this. 200 of these recruits. Things like this. All this, I mean, there's a lot more to learn, and all of you are going to learn them. Not, even if you're coming in a trade, if you're not coming in a trade. This can go at home. And this is what I used to tell my students back at Clearfield Job Corps. I said, okay, here's an assignment for the weekend. I want you to write me at least, oh, give me 3 paragraphs, 150 words. Come back to work, come back to school Monday. I want you to go out there, observe where you eat. If you do any shopping, observe everything that goes on. What did they do wrong? What could have been done? Now, here is the one I always tell them to do first. I want you to go to a grocery store. I want you to stand probably a little off the side and watch everybody go through that fruits and vegetable area. Just the fruits and vegetable, and see how many pick up, put stuff back, go to one fruit. How many people would do that? How many are going like this and just going like this and picking it up and stuff? Some of them with their little finger up in places and going like this. How many? I used to tell them, can you find anything wrong? I went to a restaurant one time. Food on the floor, chicken on the floor, everything. Never went back. These are things I told them. I said, you go out there, if you go any place to eat, notice things, see what's going on, see if they're doing it. Are we doing the same thing in the kitchen? And I hope we're not, because we have a very good kitchen. Our sanitation in our kitchen has passed the Davis County inspection 4 times in a row. Never. I got 3 hits the last time, which was maintenance items. They inspect my can opener. They check everything. Remember, in food service, we have food codes. We got food policies, regulations. I have to go through the Davis County regulations, state regulations, federal government regulations, and everything like that. Every regulations I have to do with food service, I have to go by. And my book is like 4 of these. And that's all. And I have to go through this every day, and I need to know everything. As food service operators, that includes waitresses, busboys, everything. It pertains to everyone. Every one of us out there. Because you don't want an incident like that back in the 90s that happened at Jack in the Box. That is very, very serious. Very, very serious. It could mean everything. And that's about it, guys. I probably went over time, but we'll see. Anyway, that's it. All I want you guys to do is be aware of safety, sanitation, pots and pans. I mean, you be aware of everything. Now, if you want to do with that little assignment and go out next weekend, or when you go out and watch, see how many people do something like that.
No deal.
You will. You will. And this is at every food market. Every food market.
Right.
That's it. We're
All
done.
right, well, thank you.
Law.
We
Thank you, guys.
Peace, bro.
appreciate it.
Yes. You can tell me how good I did in my review.